Philosophers / Sorcerers
Yes,
Stone.
guys, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Or Sorcerer's Stone, depending on your location. But yes, Harry Potter and the... I'll just call it the Magic Stone, for both for people's reasons. Harry Potter and the Magic Stone is a good... I do prefer the introduction to Harry Potter than the ending of him. So, that's why it's higher on my list. But we get to be introduced to this magical world, which was by Christopher Columbus, I think it was, who did the movies, the first two movies. And we're introduced to Hagrid, McGonagall, and of course the late Richard Harris, who was Dumbledore. And of course the late Alan Rickman, who was Snape. And many other things. And we're introduced to the Magic Stone itself, the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone, whatever. Which basically is like some sort of healing device, which you can heal and give elixir to make become immortal. And we see that Voldemort is trying to get the stone so he can regenerate his body. Because right now he's on the back of Quirrell's head, who's the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Who's the first of many teachers to become bad guys in that position. Or have some sort of involvement on that role. But something I want to mention here is that I like this Voldemort better than the Ralph Fiennes one, because this one seems more menacing. And I mean, he's only in one movie, and he's attached to the back of someone's head, but still, he acts more menacing. I get why he has that raspy voice, because he's a bit older, and he's probably weak. But it seems to work for him, because he's kind of a snake-like person. But still, I get why he needs a newer body, so probably best. I do like the introduction to the characters as well, like I've said. But my favorite part is probably at the end of course, where most of the events take place, where each of the three companions gets a room for themselves. Hermione gets to help Ron out with a plant room. Ron gets the chess room. Harry gets to use Quidditch skills to get the key, and then Harry gets to confront the bad guy. And it's a very well put together story. It's never overblown. It's never like it's throwing too much at you. And there's actually a sort of fun charm about it too, which I like. And there are things that are set up, like the first one of the early scenes was Harry lets a snake loose on his cousin Dudley, which sets up the Chamber of Secrets. So there are some things that are set up here, and I like it. So it's a good introduction to Harry Potter, I'd say.
Number 3.
Mr. Potter will always be around. Save the day.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, guys. That's correct. Gotta love this one. This is probably the first movie I had on DVD of the set. Interesting fact. I actually forgot about the first one, but you know, how you get. But yeah, I like this one. It introduces, like I said before, it does follow up on the whole snake vibe of how Harry can talk to snakes. And introduces the Chamber of Secrets, which is going to be established later on down the road with the Horcruxes. And speaking of which, the clip I chose that because in the interviews, Jason Isaacs says that he wanted to add a line there, so he did, and Daniel didn't know at the time, but he felt, according to Daniel, he was more confident in the second one because it was his second time doing this. So he was more confident that time, so he actually gave his own line to reply to that, and it made him so that he had potential in the series, which shows, okay, there are some moments of his bad acting, but for the most part, when he plays it right, he plays it pretty well. But in this movie, there are some good lines, like, why can't we follow the butterflies? Even Hagrid gets a good line or two, and the whole thing with, we're introduced to some new characters like Lockhart, who's the bumbling idiot, who's a fraud. Moaning Myrtle, goddamn. Well, enough said about there. And Ginny gets more development. I can just say that. And the thing I like about this movie, there's still some of enchantment feel about it, because it is the first. It's Christopher Columbus still doing it, so it makes sense. And the whole thing, there's lots of stuff that's established here. Polyjuice Potion, the Expelliarmus spell, Wingardium Leviosa is used again. There's an even better Quidditch match than the first one, actually. So there's quite a lot. And it does take some detective skill to figure out what's going on, so I must admit there is a pretty fair good amount to see here, including that ridiculous flying car, Jesus. Well, that being said, I gotta say, Chamber of Secrets is higher on my list than I thought it would be. Oh, one more thing. When I reveal the second movie, that will also mean you all already know what number 1 is, so you'll be aware of what it is. And now I'll be doing that movie separately in its own part, because I want to explain fully why it's my favorite.
Number 2.
Alistair Moody. Ex-horror. Ministry malcontent. New defense against the dark arts teacher. I'm here because Dumbledore asked me. End of story. Goodbye. The end. Any questions? When it comes to the dark arts, I believe in a practical approach. But first, which of you can tell me how many unforgivable curses there are?
3, sir.
They're so named?
Because they are unforgivable. Use any one of them will.
Are you a one-way ticket to Azkaban? Correct. And the minister says you're too young to see what these curses do. I say different. You need to know what you're up against. You need to be prepared. You need to find another place to put your chewing gum besides the underside of your desk, Mr. Finnegan. I'm here across classrooms.
Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Yes, guys, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Gotta go with that for number 2. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this one. I mean, you've got the Tri-Wizard Tournament for starters. Basically, there's this tournament which has been banned, well, stopped for a couple of years because it's so dangerous. And then later on they said, oh, it's okay to do it now because... Actually, I don't think they gave a good reason why to. Whatever. The point is, though, they bring it back and say, oh, but you can't, Hogwarts students can't do it because you have to be 17 or over. And they're competing against 2 other schools, the Bobans and the Durmstrangs. So, yeah, meant to be like a get-together of communication or whatever, teamwork. No, there's this weird line where Emma Watson says, it's about dramatic communication and all that, whatever. Dude, it's a competition. There's bound to be something going on it. I know. Anyway, but yeah, Harry has to face the return of the Dark Lord Voldemort, who he has visions of earlier on, along with Wormtail, who, you know, that guy. And then there is the stuff about the World Tournament, introducing Crumb. Then we're introduced to Cedric Diggory before he was in Twilight. Yeah, Robin Pattinson was in this. And we're introduced to the Wizard Tournament itself. So they go, and there's the Goblet of Fire, names get thrown in, and of course, so one of the teachers places his name in the Goblet of Fire. And since this is a spoiler allowed thing, I will spoil it for you, because like I said earlier before, I will be spoiling it, so why not? Mad-Eye Moody puts it in. Or, in other terms, Barty Crouch Jr., who is using Polyjuice Potion, which I like, because it's established previously on in the second movie that that's a thing. He just had to keep taking it in order to stay in that state. But still, there is a subtle hint to it with the whole tongue thing in his mouth. Because his Barty Crouch Jr. is played by David Tennant, and David Tennant does the tongue thing in this movie, and so does Barty Crouch. Put 2 and 2 together, boom, 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 boom. Still, he's a good teacher. The problem is with the movie as Barty Crouch is, he teaches them too well. He teaches them how to be prepared and avoid the curses and stuff. But it's basically teaching your enemy to be more powerful. Still, it was effective. No one would suspect him, I guess. But on the other stuff, there is a tournament, and then there is Voldemort himself. And I like that Harry has to be more independent. They just let him go into this tournament, and he has to figure out the clues of the tasks, and then face the Dark Lord himself. And we do see some start of what things are yet to come with their wands being interlocked. And there is a funny moment where Harry and Voldemort get their wands clashed, and Harry's parents as spirits come next to him and say, "Son, you're ready. Let go, let go." Anyone thinking of Dragon Ball Z with Goku telling his son to pull his ki forward? I would say that. But you know, that's what I'm saying. And of course, we know what number 1 is by now, which I'll probably go into a separate part about that.